future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com. This is On Air with Tony Sweet, your number one source for all things entertainment, exclusive interviews, and guests from TV, film, the Broadway stage, and your favorite musical artists of today. Talking shop is a given, but deep conversation is Tony's specialty. On Air with Tony Sweet starts now, exclusively on UBN Radio.
Okay, it's On Air with Tony Sweet right here on Universal Broadcasting Network. I am Tony Sweet, and we have the beautiful, sexy mama in the house.
As promised, I told you I'd come back in 2 weeks. I was
What's
here
your
2
name?
weeks ago. I'm Erica Renee Davis. You can find me on Instagram. Twitter,
Yeah.
at Erica Renee D.
We love having you here. Thank you.
I'm back and depressed as ever, hence the wine.
I know. And we're going to bring our guest in because we have a lot to talk about. Then we're going to talk about her career and a lot of things that she's doing right now. And we have an exciting one coming out because she worked with Kevin James, and I'm a big fan of his.
Yes.
But we have Zulay Henao. Is that right?
Almost there. You said the first name perfect.
Zulay Henao.
H is silent. And now.
Now?
Yeah.
Now. Okay, well, okay. I'm terrible. I'll be back after the show's over.
You need some wine to help you through
I know.
the
Well,
pronunciation.
we have the wine going because yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit of politics, and it actually goes beyond politics.
It does.
Right.
Because it affects socially everyone after an election. You know, if Hillary would have won, we would be happy, and
Yeah.
everybody else would be sad. So, first of all, I am a little sad and not upset because, like we were talking earlier, that this is democracy, and the people did speak. Unfortunately, the popular vote, she won.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, she won, but
Fortunately,
it
but it
doesn't
doesn't
it doesn't
matter.
make a difference. But I think going forward, we're going to have to come together even more than we did through Obama because there's a lot of hate and spewing going on out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hate.
Yeah. So, but first of all, I'm going to ask, what do you think? How are you feeling, Miss Erica?
Well, Zulay, I'm from Georgia. I'm from South Georgia originally. And my Facebook, usually, but right now it's like, hey, look at this
Like,
Facebook
hey?
timeline. Not just in Georgia, but across the country, obviously, a lot of rural, suburban areas voted for Trump very heavily. And I just want to say, as someone who grew up in the South, who grew up doing pageants, who grew up loving sports,
Right.
there are a few things that are very sacred to suburban, rural areas. One of those things, again, is pageants. Gay men make the pageant world go round. Suburban America voted against gay men, LGBTQ, by voting for Trump. Another thing that we love in the South, in the rural areas, are sports. You voted against black men. I mean, I hate to be that person, blanket statement, but black men make the world of sports go round. Donald Trump believes in stop and frisk. Trump supporters in the South, in these suburban areas, you voted against these black men that you love to cheer for on Saturday and Sundays. In the South and rural areas, you love your agriculture. You love your crops. Illegal immigrants keep your crops thriving. You voted against those people by voting for Trump. So to me, what I'm seeing is that not only are you hypocrites, but you obviously want real change. So if that's what you want, we heard your voices very loudly and clearly. Or either that, or you're just a whole bunch of deplorable hypocrites.
Okay.
Touche.
You know how you feel, Erica.
Yes.
And is it like, what do you? I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but
No, I like you said earlier, and like we were
pull that
talking
mic up
before,
just a little bit because I want to hear it.
before we went live, that the one thing that we can all say on a day like today is that our democracy is in fact working. It works. It's a government for the people, by the people. The people voted, and Donald Trump will be elected our president. But having said that, I think today when I woke up, I had a really hard time just getting my day started. And I
Right.
said, how can I... And it's not that I needed to change the outcome for me to get on with my day, but I wanted to kind of understand and be in a space where, and I know how you feel because I do feel the same way. I was angry and I'm sad too. I share both of your sentiments. But I think that for me, it was important to kind of put myself in a sane place. And the way that I'm doing that for myself and the way that I've been thinking all day is because the people have spoken. I think that even though it's not the outcome that I wanted, I feel that we can move forward knowing that obviously this is I'm trying to find the correct words.
You're doing fine.
There are bigger powers, and there's God, and there's a silver lining somewhere, and then we don't have to know it in this very instant.
Okay.
Just as long as we, carry throughout the day, carry ourselves in a loving spirit, and in a place where we empower people instead of putting them down. And because I get it, it's so hurtful. It's so. I mean, 30% of Latino Americans, especially Mexicans, voted for Donald Trump, which is unbelievable
Which
and
is
surprising
stupid.
to me.
Yeah.
Which then tells me that, there is another reason, and it's not just racism and bigotry.
Right.
There are other things at play here. So I refuse to believe that every person who voted for Donald Trump is a racist and a bigot, because the
I don't
numbers
believe
just
that
don't
either.
say that, and
Yeah.
that is just unfair to say. So if we just move forward and pray that we find love, and that we eventually see the silver lining as far as the politics of the country is concerned, then I'm happy with that. And like Hillary said this morning so beautifully, is we owe him an opportunity to
Right.
We do. And, to your point about the silver lining, I feel more emboldened more than ever to get involved in the democratic processes in California. I was somewhat active in Georgia. I mean, of course, I've always voted. I've always been an active voter, and I've always been someone who double majored in broadcast news and political science. I've always paid attention to what's going on. I've always been very involved, at least intellectually. But now I'm like, I want to go to the Young Democrats website and actually have an active role, so that when the 2018 midterm elections come up, I can say I had outreach efforts, and not just from a Democrat perspective, but from a Black female in the city. Like, I want to be more active in philanthropy. Like, this election has made me want to say, I want to be more active in boys and girls. I want to go do more, outreach on Skid Row, whatever it takes. Like that's my silver lining.
That's the silver lining. That's the silver lining for me. Like, I want to get more involved with the Veterans Affairs and do my part and educate more people, or Latino Americans. I wish that I had gone out there, and I spoke to a lot of people in my life just on a day-to-day basis, like, hey, are you registered? This is where you can go to register. But I think we all want to do more. We all want to be better. And we that is a silver lining, is that we are going forward, going to try and do better and be more involved in the things that really matter in this world, and not the social media aspect of it all,
Right.
who we're aligned with or not aligned with.
And I think earlier, and then we'll move on, because I don't want to just dwell. It's going to be in every news segment for the next 4 years.
4 years.
But somebody said earlier that when times are good, we get complacent. We say, we don't really need to. We can just go to the clubs and just live our lives. But when times are the toughest, making things happen and movements rise up. So, I mean, as you can see on the other side, they started a movement because they felt that way when we felt like things were going our way. So I think it's going to, like you said, it's even made me speak out, which I never talk about my private stuff.
You don't.
It's like, I don't. So it made me even speak out. But I have to say, there's been a lot of people private message me and said, Tony, no matter what, we disagree on political stuff, but we're here for you. You're welcome to my home. I hope, it's not going to affect our relationship. For me, I'm not one that deletes people, unfriends people.
But I will unfollow you.
I will unfollow you, but because if
There'll
you're
be a lot of
hateful,
unfollows.
if you're hateful, but if you just disagree with me, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Respectfully disagree, of course. Yeah.
So, but we're here to have some fun.
Yay.
We're here to have some fun because I have a beautiful lady in the house with us that has a lot, two beautiful
Janes.
ladies. I know, I said I should have done myself up a little bit more. But you have some stuff coming out, in fact, this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
On Friday.
That I would love to talk about. But I like to go back and find out how you got to this point. So you were born in Colombia.
I was born in Medellin, Colombia. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So this is always what fascinates me is people in America that they want to be an actor or an actress. They they just have to come across country. To find someone that's from another country that comes to America and actually becomes successful, it always fascinates me. So
It's like my own little American dream. Although I have to say, I came here when I was 4, but
still,
Okay, but still, yeah.
But still,
my parent,
it's still. So growing up, though, did you have anybody in your family that influenced you, or that were you the only one that was kind of on the couch, being pretending you were on stage and singing the song,
Right.
doing Shakespeare?
Yeah, I was kind of a little trailblazer that day with that in that way, with just the arts, and also then after with the military stuff. No, there was really no one in my mom wanted to be an actress when she was really pretty and really outgoing and really charismatic. But my grandparents, they lived that was just not something that they wanted her involved with at all. So I think when my mom, and you're right, I was the kid that would, show up, and my parents would show up and I'd be sprawled on the floor with ketchup all over me.
They're like, what happened?
Right.
So I was that kid, and I think my mom, took note of that and wanted to encourage it and wanted to like nurture that, that artistic side of me. And I'm thankful that she did, because when you have a parent invest in you, that's the best. I mean, I think that's the best gift parents give us, is investing in our gifts and our talents, because that's like the first person that believes in you and really says, hey, son or daughter, you can do this. And my mom was that for me. My dad was a little more skeptical. And you know what? I appreciate him for doing that too. You need that reality check. Because when you tell your parents you're going into the entertainment industry and they're immigrants from Colombia and they come to this country.
I come all the way from Colombia.
You better go to college and get this law degree.
What are you talking about?
Right.
This is not what we brought you here to do. So I understand his part in kind of wanting to ground me a little more. And he always used to tell my mom, you're such a dreamer and she's just like you. And thank God I was, because I am truly so happy and so honored that God has given me the opportunity to live my dreams. And this is just like a little piece of my dream. Like I feel like I just started,
Now, what's your parents' industry? You said that your mom wanted to be an actress, but what did they end up doing professionally, your parents?
So my mom worked 3 jobs. She worked in a factory, she worked Mary Kay, and she worked her way all the way up to, like, she was a director of sales.
Nice.
And she bought her first house with working Mary
Wow.
Kay. My father built airplane parts, so they
Nice.
were both, working people,
Working
class people, and they gave me just the right amount of love and pullback that I think a kid needs. Even though it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for them. My parents worked extremely hard. My mom, worked 3 jobs, and I was in tap, ballet, and now that I'm an adult, I don't have kids. I have a niece. I know how expensive it is to send your kids, first of all, to send your kids to school looking decent is hard for parents today. But never mind having all these extracurricular, beautiful things that are just add-ons that I was very blessed to have parents that wanted to do for me.
So did you guys? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I know the feeling, because how many siblings?
I have an older sister, but my parents did the same thing: tap, jazz, ballet,
Well, I didn't know
twirled
the tap, jazz, and all
saxophone,
that stuff.
piano,
Oboe.
It's
just like all of
look at you with your wind instrument.
But
good.
I grew up. I'm the baby of 4. There's 4 of us. I'm thinking, I'll be 47 in a month. And when my dad was 47, he had a grocery store. He owned a house. He had 4 kids. We went on month vacations. And it's like thinking, oh my gosh, I just know what it costs to keep me going.
Right.
Thinking to have all of that. And to know that, working 12 to 18-hour days and stuff like that. So it is. When you're a kid, you don't really see that until you become an adult and start earning your own money. Right. And you start looking at them not even as your parents, but as human beings, going, they did that for me.
Right.
So
as friends, like I look at my sister now and I'm like, you are amazing. My sister is a full-time mom. She works, she's in school, she's a mother, she's a wife. I mean, she's all these things, and I'm like, you are truly a superwoman. The things that women and men. I don't want to leave men out of this, because there are a lot of single dads out there that work extremely hard. That's true. So shout out to all the amazing parents out there.
Yeah.
Did you move straight from Colombia to LA?
No, I've been in LA just 7 years.
Okay.
We moved to the East Coast initially. My grandfather was living in New York City when my mom decided to move here. So we moved to New York City. And then, we were there not for a very long time. I think I don't know the reasons why. Then we moved to New Jersey and then Massachusetts. So we kind of traveled all up and down the East Coast. And then I didn't decide. Kind of life brought me to California 7 years ago.
Okay.
So, well, I didn't grow up in the military, but my siblings were in military. I mean, they were military brats. Moving around a lot, did you were you able to build friendships up enough to where you kept them? Because that's another reason why you were creating a lot and entertaining yourself a lot.
Yeah, that's you bring up a really good point. Whenever people ask me, so where are you from? I have a really tough time with that because I spent a lot of time in New Jersey, like between elementary and middle school. Then I went for part of middle school to Massachusetts. Then I split high school between Massachusetts and New Jersey. So my entire like academic, like before, just up from like pre-K to the 12th grade, I was moving all over the place. So I didn't really build. I mean, I do have friends. Then I left to the Army.
You went to the Army?
Yeah.
Wait, you yourself were enlisted.
Oh, yes. So the reason I moved around wasn't for
I know. I'm looking
wasn't because my parents were in the military. I joined the military after high school.
For how long?
For 3 years. I did 3
Get
years
outta
active
here.
duty and then like another 3 in the National Guard.
Get out of here.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
Happy Veterans Day on Friday.
I know. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you for your service.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. So I have a really hard time in telling someone I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a New York Yankees fan.
She's a big
friends,
sports person right there.
Yeah.
Girl, I will fight you about some sports.
I don't want to get into it with you because you look like you really know what you're talking about. I'm just like I love the Patriots. I love football and I love watching basketball. I love sports. I do love sports, but could I get into it with you? Like that's a wrong foul.
We can watch a game. We can watch a game together.
We can watch a game together.
I would
and
love
be
to just
equally
watch you
as
guys watching the game together.
Is that your fantasy, Tony? Are you
Kinda.
trying to live out your fantasy?
Kind of,
right?
maybe.
Okay.
Like I don't do fantasy football.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think you do.
I
You
do.
look- You do.
Yeah,
you
I do
look like
fantasy.
the girl that would do fantasy football. I'm like, huh? Yeah.
So, no, go ahead.
Well, okay. So people have always told me that you say that your home is where you've lived more than half of your life, but you haven't really lived
I haven't,
anywhere.
no.
Okay.
So my home is my home is here now in California. I have a homey, loving feeling in New Jersey, and I do have the same feelings for my time in Massachusetts. And I just say I'm from the East Coast, and now I live in California.
Okay.
Family in
Wow.
Miami. I'm just kind of like all over the place. Yeah.
When you were in high school, it sounds like you moved around a lot. But did you have a chance to be in like theater plays there?
I did. There was an organization at my high school that my friends and I started called Attleboro's Common Thread, and it wasn't necessarily a theater-based thing, although we ended up doing a lot of theater-based things, because it was all the minorities in the school that kind of got together and put this kind of like diverse group of people together, and we would, have theater. We put up theater productions, and we would. We would recruit girls to come and model, and it was just like a fun after-school thing that we did, and the school, really endorsed it and supported it. Because we had and that's another thing, we had a very small, diverse group of people in Massachusetts. I went to pretty much a predominantly white high school. And then in New Jersey, all my friends were Black and Hispanic.
Yeah.
So I had a very diverse
I didn't. It was
childhood.
all white.
All white for you.
It was all white for me.
You went to school all
There was just, it was just all
All
white.
white.
It was just, I didn't even know any better.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
yeah. In my hometown, everything was black or white, and then I went to college, and I was like, oh, there are Asian people in the world. That was weird.
During your 3 years in the Army, now, you must have had that urge to want to create,
Travel and-
well, not just create as an actress, or maybe you didn't at that time, but did you have a chance to do anything in the Army, or was it just all Army?
I certainly did have the urge. In fact, going to the Army, I have to say, and I know I say this all the time, but because with Veterans Day literally 2 days away, I have to say that my experience in the military in the U.S. Army has been the single most important time of my life. Those 3 years are very structured, and it created a lot of discipline, that foundation. I don't think I would have had the strength or the makeup, the intellectual and the emotional makeup to and I hate using this word, but to make it or to be in this business for as long as I've been, and I've been a working actress for 7 years. That to me is part of the reason I feel that I've been able to stay here and because I think that experience was molded me in such a way that I was able to really like get up and get the mission done. And if the mission is you work all day and you work hard and you have to create tough skin in the military, it's kind of, that's the lifestyle.
That is,
you have the mission, and that is whether you, and I ended up being in a field unit, of course. So I had a lot of time out in a field. I traveled to Central America to, you know, just the most impoverished areas, and you really get to see the world in a different light and in a different way. So having had that experience, I would never take it back. As hard as it was, I would never take it back.
Aside from the impact that it had on creating a sustainable acting career for you, what was the single most memorable Army experience for you?
Well, that's a great question. The single most most important. You know, when I traveled to, I really discovered empathy, and acting is all about empathy. And when I was in El Salvador, I met a little girl. Her name was Carla, and I was working at an orphanage as a translator with my company commander, because I was one of the few people that spoke both languages. And I just remember not just falling in love with her because she was cute. I wanted, at the age of 20, I wanted to be able to do more than that. In fact, I kept in touch with her for like 2 years, and I was like, one day when I have money, I'll adopt her, or I'll bring her to the States, or empathy was really, it was kind of really born in the most intimate part of me, being in the Army. And I think that's what acting is. It's being empathetic to another human being's reality. That you and I, because we're so lucky and we're so blessed, we live in this country. Even still, after yesterday, we live in this amazing country that affords us amazing, unspeakable opportunities. And she didn't have that.
I mean, that's actually a beautiful story. I mean, it really is. And I think my mom and dad were both military. They were both Army. My mom joined in 1957. Yeah, when women
that
were
was
not.
just like what a beautiful mom.
Well, and my grandmother, she was part of the Waves, women in the Navy. So back in the World War II. So I mean, my family has been in pretty much every war since the Revolutionary War. They've been here a long time, and I take great pride in people that give service. I never served, but all my dad's brothers, my dad served.
Yeah, my dad served.
So it takes a lot. I mean, it takes courage, and it takes
Sacrifice.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. And I think for a lot of people, it really shapes their life. It's almost like, I'm not even going to compare it to sports, but I mean, it's like sports in some ways of it takes discipline, self-discipline to carry on that act.
That's a fair.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's a fair.
I don't want to compare it to their sacrifice of 3
because
or 4.
it seems trivial, like
right.
you know.
But it is. It's
some underlying things that weave them together.
So when you got out of the Army, and what did you think? Now I have 3 years of experiences being in the Army. What did you do?
Oh God, that was so far from what my thought was. Like, I had a complete plan. You know, I knew that I wasn't going to be a lifelong military person.
Right.
I just, and not for any other reason other than I had these great experiences, and now I had my own dreams and my own things that I wanted to go and do. I enrolled in acting school before I even was, discharged from the military. I called my mom. My mom was still in Massachusetts, and
where were you stationed last?
In North Carolina.
Okay. Well, Lejeune? Like, where were you?
Fayetteville.
Okay.
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Fort Bragg. And I said to my mom, I know that you thought I was coming back home, and I've been going to school. I went to college in North Carolina, Methodist College down there. I said, but I really have it in my heart to go to New York City. My mom's like, oh my God, yet something else with you. So I drove my Honda Accord, and I called my grandparents up, and I said, hey, this is what I'm planning. They lived in New Jersey at the time. Now you guys know my whole story. So it was actually, God is a good God. Like, he had all these people laid out in all the perfect places for me to take advantage of their guest bedrooms.
There you go.
And the guest bedroom turned into my home for like a while.
Yeah.
I lived with them for the first 2 years while I was, in school down there. And so I drove to New York. I didn't even go back to Massachusetts at that time.
Oh, wow.
And I started like my acting. I got headshots, and, I started acting school like the next week.
Wow. So you were committed, and you had a plan. You had a plan, and you saw it through.
And I want to reiterate and make sure that it's understood that it wasn't a plan like I need to get out of the Army, because I truly loved my experience in the Army so much. It was heartbreaking to leave. I'm still one of my best friends, who was at the premiere of True Memoirs the other night, is still in the Army, and I met her in the Army. So it's,
That's
you know,
pretty cool.
yeah, it's not that I wanted out. I just had a bigger plan for my personal dream.
Right.
And it wasn't in the military.
Like I said, though, I totally agree with you that inspiration comes from times of, especially in military, you have a lot of times to think.
Right.
I mean, really to think about what you want to do afterwards. I mean, that's 3 years of dedication. So going to school, from that point, when did you start noticing that your career started picking up? Like starting booking gigs more, started getting more breaks into like, this actually might work.
Well, you think that every time you book something.
Oh, right. This
Right.
is it.
You think that every time
I'm
you
an
book
A-lister.
something.
Right.
I booked this movie. Well, first I booked a commercial. That was the first job I booked. It was a Budweiser commercial, and it was with a huge Colombian star. His name is Carlos Vives. So I was like over the moon about that.
I'm like, oh my God.
Where did it film? Did it film in New York,
It filmed
LA?
in New York.
Okay.
And then after that, I would show up to, well, first of all, we need to just go back to the basics. Like I didn't have an agent, a manager. So I was doing all these showcases
yourself.
and I was like sending all these people. I was just, you know, being broke in New York City with my Uggs on, like showing up to all
Right.
these. The worst city to be broken, I'll tell you. If you live in New York City, you know what I mean. And then finally, this manager from this talent agency, this management company, was like, "I'll come." They came to my show, and they came up to me afterwards, and they said, "We don't know if you can act yet. I like what you did on there, and I'll never forget. It was a scene from Closer, which is one of my favorite movies." And he's like, "But we're gonna invite you up to our office, and you're gonna meet the team, and we want to send you out." I was like, "Okay."
You're like,
So he
okay.
started sending me out, and like a month later, I booked a movie.
Nice.
What movie?
It's called Feel the Noise. In fact, it plays often.
Feel the noise. Who's in it? Who's in it? I don't think I know it.
Omarion.
Oh,
It was a dance
Marion.
movie.
Okay.
Victor Rasuk, Melanie Diaz. It was
And you can
produced by
dance?
Jennifer Lopez.
She's Colombian. Are you
Look at her
serious?
like-
Come on now.
I you know, like my tap and ballet didn't really pay off for this movie because this was like complete reggaeton and like almost like a salsa thing.
Okay.
I don't consider myself like an excellent dancer per se, but I can dance. I grew up. I'm Latin. I grew up with parents.
Yes,
who,
Tony. What the hell? Come on.
Well, I didn't, so I had to ask.
so that happened. And yeah, that was the first movie. Then I booked like another movie. I booked Illegal Tender like 2 weeks after that. So then I'm thinking like, wow,
This is
when you book
easy.
a job, you book another one like right away, and then I come to find out that's not really how it happens. And
Right.
but
Right.
then now you love it, and now you've been on set,
You've
and now
been
you're
bitten.
just working. You know, you work harder to get better, and then work begets work. But it's a hard. It's you know, I really commend people who really commit their time and energy into becoming a working. It's hard.
So
not
so you got
easy.
the first job, the second job, and how much lull, if you will, between that second movie that you booked pretty much immediately? How much time was it between the next, I guess, substantial booking?
Probably like a year. I was in
Okay.
New York. I didn't have an agent yet. And I went in to audition for Fighting, which is the Terrence Howard and Channing Tatum movie that I did. And I remember going into that audition and like I booked it like a month later. I had, you know, a chemistry read with Channing and he was great. And then I remember just thinking like, okay, you know, this is going to be a great opportunity for me. And the reason I moved to California is because after that movie, you know, I used to come out here for pilot season to try to audition for stuff and just would go home depressed. And on one of those trips, I met at an agency, UTA at the time, and they're like, if you want, we can sign you. We want to sign you, but you have to live in California. So I never actively made a conscious decision to move to California. Like
Even thought about it?
You know, I was really happy in New York. I was really happy there. I had my family there. I'm really close to my family. I was working, you know, that's really all I knew. And I didn't know anybody in California. Even when I was coming out here, I didn't really know many people. In fact, I ended up living with one of the producers who was one of Jennifer's producers on Feel the Noise. I ended up living with her, renting her
that's
renting
nice,
her
though.
guest bedroom for like a
Wow.
year. I didn't know many people. I didn't know anybody
Hmm.
besides her and, you know, like one other friend who I didn't really see much when I was here. So the move here was, you know, not planned and it was hard. And the first 2 years were brutal because it's a big city and you don't know anyone and you're just trying to like find your way around.
Right.
But now I love this city. I did an interview this morning. Amanda knows.
Hey, Amanda, you
Hi,
got, can
Amanda.
they see Amanda?
No.
Amanda has
She's
great red hair, by the
gorgeous.
way.
She's
Yeah.
gorgeous,
It's
I tell
ridiculous.
you.
I love your hair.
She's a cutie patootie. I did this interview this morning about all the things, all LA things I love, and I realized writing that interview that I really love this city.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
Beautiful,
great things
diverse.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I want to say this. Okay, so you're so smart.
Yeah, you can tell that.
So smart. Okay, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Second, you're so smart. And obviously successful and obviously beautiful. Do you find that is difficult to, I guess, navigate because you are not only pretty, but you're also intelligent? I mean, because just let's just be real. A lot of actresses, pretty faces, great tits, great asses, great assets, but don't have a lot of business savvy and don't really have a lot of think in the tank.
Yeah.
But you're the complete antithesis of a baseless actress. Do you find that people discriminate against you because you have such a total package?
I honestly, thank you so much, Erica. That's so amazingly sweet of you, and that's really been the nicest thing that I've heard probably all week. I have said to very close friends of mine, including my family and my friends, I just really want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel that there have been times in my professional career and people that work with me and for me and that I've worked with that I feel have a very stereotypical way of looking at actresses.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that you actively work towards breaking down, like in conversations like these.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate, as a woman, and Tony, I saw you smiling.
No, I totally agree
So,
with what she said. Yeah.
It's a very common problem. But yes, I want to be seen. I want in all types of relationships, not just work relationships. I think as women we bring a certain amount of spirituality to things, a certain amount of love that only we can bring. Smart is sexy as well. So that is something that I actively work to always be aware of, so that I can break it down a little bit and show up the way that I need to show up for not just for my work, but just for my relationships in general. Because I think as human beings, I think we want to be seen and we want to be acknowledged for who we are inside, for the way that we think, for the things that we appreciate, and for the things that we actively think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
No, and I think you're absolutely correct. And I'm not trying to compare to you, but I grew up in Kansas. I was blonde, I was muscular,
handsome.
Thank you very much.
He was a football player, girl.
I was a state champion football player. Thank you very much.
Oh.
But it is true, when people look at you, especially with me, they stereotype me because I was muscular. I must be stupid. I'm blonde. I must be stupid. I had an accent because I was from Kansas. I must be stupid.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was like, that's okay. Let them think that way.
Right.
Because I kind of was like, it's no expectations. But then after I got to a certain age, I'm like, no.
It's not okay.
No, it's
Yeah.
not okay anymore.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
You grow up.
Yes,
Yeah.
you grow up. You start respecting yourself more
Loving yourself.
and loving yourself, and you want to be an example for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you and Erica and all of us want to be an example for people out there that are doing or, that are 10 to 20 years younger, than me, but that are going through the same thing. And I want to be an example that I always say, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Right.
I mean, it's just you got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe that don't allow other people to make that decision of,
That's right.
of who you are by the way you look, the way you talk, the way you speak, whatever. So
Honestly, that's half the battle.
yeah,
I mean, loving yourself and believing in yourself. You can't, and it sounds so cliche, and it sounds like it's been said over and over and over again, but you don't get it until you get it. You don't get it until you wake up one day and you say, I can do this. And you're looking down and you're looking at the work before you, and you're like, you know what? I believe that as a human being, I have the capacity of one day experiencing this. So I'm going to step into it, and I'm going to do it for the story. I'm talking about acting, but but in all facets and aspects of life, if we believe that we can,
Thoughts become things.
they just happen.
Yeah. I agree.
and all this leading up to this point, and I mean, we're going to talk about some other things, but I mean, this is leading up to working with people like Kevin James. That's coming out on Netflix November 11th, which is 2 days, Veterans Day.
Yes.
True Memoirs of an International Assassin. And
How many episodes?
Oh, it's a movie.
Just
a
Netflix.
movie. But
you know what's funny? A lot of people. I'm sorry.
Go.
The way that it is being promoted on Netflix, it does give people the idea that it might be a TV show.
It does appear that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, and also
who knows? Maybe we could parlay it into
Right.
It could.
As a matter of fact, yes.
So I'm going to ask you. I'm a big King of Queens
As
fan, and you know, was it Mall Cop?
Mall
and
Cop,
all
yes.
these-
Paul Blart.
Paul Blart, yeah.
Paul
So,
Blart.
what was it like working with Kevin? Is he one of those comedic geniuses on set, off set?
You know, I, like you, share the same. I was such a huge King of Queens fan. I watched the entire season from beginning to end,
like
probably
500 times.
Yeah. So when I met Kevin, I remember telling him this, and he was like, "Oh God, like you already got the job." Well, no, not when I met him. And when we were on set, I said, "You know, I'm a huge King of Queens." He's like, "Zulay, you already got the job. Like you can stop."
Right.
No. So for me, even going into, I had an opportunity to FaceTime with both him and Jeff Wadlow, the director, prior to my audition, which is like. Such a huge opportunity to be given to have a conversation with the director and the lead guy on FaceTime, where they're basically telling you, if you do this, you'll get the job.
Right.
You know, so it
Like,
was,
where's the hoop?
Yeah, I was like, well, so what am I doing? Right.
Put it on fire.
Right. Yeah.
I, thank God I was pretty calm during the FaceTime session, and then after the audition process, it kind of just hit me like, wow, that just happened. I was. Something inside of me. I even celebrated that day. I went to Malibu. I went to Joffrey's and had like the most beautiful dinner with my brother. Oh. And I remember it so clearly. I said, I really think that I booked this job. That's how good I felt about my work, and that's how good I felt about just our FaceTime. And it's a testament to how kind and generous and just beautiful Kevin James is. He really went to bat for me to get this job. Unbeknownst to me at the time, but then he, as we filmed, he told me, he's like, the way that I got this job was just really incredible. His wife had seen me in fighting, and so had he. And they, when the audition initially came around, I wasn't available. I was working with Tyler, so they'd gone to casting it, and I wasn't available to even audition. So it was kind of meant to be. It's one of those serendipitous moments where this is supposed to happen, and I felt that in the room. And you don't often feel that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel good. Like I felt good about my audition today, but it could go or not.
What was your audition today? You probably can't tell us.
I know I can.
Specific.
I auditioned for Ballers.
Oh, no. Okay. Yes. They're coming back here. Well, they're coming here.
They are? Nice.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Oh.
Maybe I
Who's coming?
To our place?
Just kidding.
To this studio? Oh, good.
Maybe I can work that out, though. I'll work that for you.
And they walk in right now.
Right. And the special
So
guest.
I'm like, so guess what? You wouldn't believe this. I just auditioned for your show. In fact, I have the sides in my phone.
That's right.
Exclusive information.
Yeah.
So what did you play in? Or are you going to play in True Memoirs?
In True Memoirs. So I play a really badass role. She's a DEA agent who's kind of sacrificed her entire life.
It's that army experience.
Yeah, but this is not it. I would have come in here totally like Rosa had I not had an audition where I needed to be sexy earlier. Because I've been living in that. I've been like really like dressing down and not doing much makeup and just being really like low
This
key.
is dressing down?
No, I would
I was
not
going to
done.
say,
No,
if this
I'm
is
just saying,
dressing
like,
down,
this is completely dressed
I'm going to
up for
put a
me.
bag over my head because
She's a DEA agent who's been working kind of like in the underbelly of this just really corrupt political system down in Venezuela, and she's trying to bring these drug lords, to justice. And unbeknownst to her, the guy that that thinks is the revolutionary guy who's going to fix everything is also corrupt. So here comes Kevin's character Sam, and he's
I just
kind of
giggle
like
when I think about it.
you guys will see on Friday, he's phenomenal in it. He gets kidnapped to Venezuela because he's being mistaken as an assassin, which we all know he's not. Especially me, when I see him, I'm like, you're definitely not an assassin. Why do these people think you can kill the president? So, and then our adventure starts, and it's like he saves me at the end of the day, but it's non-typical in where for a good part of the film, am saving him and kind of teaching him the ropes. And I will say, I have to give a lot of credit to Jeff Wadlow. I'll see him tomorrow night. We're having another screening of the film. But he wrote a really compelling, cool story for a woman, but a Latina woman at that. And he was so adamant about making her Latina and making her like smart. She's not objectified or sexified at all in the film, and you'll see that. You'll appreciate that, Erica. And I really love that about I didn't realize that was going to be the case when we were filming, because you never know what they're filming.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I stay out of the way. I just want to focus on the work. But watching the film, I realized that it wasn't objectified or sexified, or I wasn't a sex object. I was really there to do a job, and I worked so hard at making her that person.
Now, just because you're smart doesn't mean you can't get some booty in the film.
We didn't get any.
That made me spit my water out.
Do you get some booty in the film?
No, and I've gotten a lot of questions about that. I was like, it would have been nice. It would have been nice.
Yeah, you can be smart and get some booty.
She's more so than smart. She's just a badass. She's just tough, and she just
like
wants
that,
to get
though.
the job done.
Is this your first action-packed?
It is.
Oh, how was that?
Did you like prepare for it, like martial arts training or like gun range training?
We definitely, had some gun training, but it was more like hand-to-hand combat, like stuff we would learn in the Army, like how to disarm somebody. And just, there's a scene in the movie where I'm dancing the tango and fighting, and we end up killing people. The training was, the physicality of the film was really overwhelming initially, but having watched the film now, we had a great stunt team. In fact, I spoke to the stunt coordinator earlier on the phone. I've kind of become friends with all these people. I'm like, I can't wait to do this again. I have the pictures of the bruising on my body to prove they're a little inappropriate, but they're nice.
We'll take a look later.
I was gonna.
Off
yeah,
air.
we won't do that. So that's coming out this Friday, Veterans Day.
Friday.
But we got to talk about this one.
Loving you is wrong. We don't want to do what?
Oh yeah.
We don't want to be right.
Can you sing, Erica? Because I can't.
We had this conversation 2 weeks ago. I was a musical theater kid, so listen.
She can break down.
I can carry a tune.
Yeah.
But I'm not a singer.
Well,
I wish I could carry it too, and I would parlay that into a singing career.
Right? Right.
Well, everybody that I've had on, and I've had a lot of people on that has worked with Tyler Perry. I want to know, what was it like working with him?
Honest to God truth.
Yeah.
You know what?
A lot of hard work, I bet.
It is a lot of hard work. Tyler knows that. He works because he works very hard. He doesn't expect anything from us. Tyler's there before everybody, and well, he does leave right when we wrap, but he works very hard. He works extremely hard. So I am extremely grateful. I don't know how many TV shows you get to go to work on for 7 to 8 weeks and have the rest of the year as an actor. That's really have the rest of the year to kind of work on film or explore other opportunities. So it's working with, he's a genius.
I totally agree. And everybody I've interviewed have said the same thing.
Do you, I'm trying to think the most politically correct way to say this. Okay. So oftentimes people who work with Tyler or with productions that are similar to Tyler say that because he pumps so much content out so quickly all the time, that oftentimes quality can be compromised. Right. Have you ever been in a situation with, Loving You Is Wrong or other Tyler Perry's productions that you felt, we could have done this differently to create a better quality? Okay.
Yeah, of course. And, anybody that works for Tyler, it's the University of Tyler Perry. You get the job done because he does work very hard. And, I've told him, he knows that when he hires you and you stay on the show, we're prepared to go in there and to give our best work on the first or second take that we do, because that's what the mission calls for. So I'm very grateful for him. He's a great, great guy. He's funny as hell. He's absolutely one of the most generous people I've ever met. And the fact that he's turned his life into what he's turned it into.
Right. Somebody living in his car to a multi-empire, multi-million.
Forget the money. Just forget his wealth and forget all of that. But just the life he's built for himself, the legacy that he's built for himself. He is the only he's the only producer who owns a studio. Yeah. He writes, directs, produces. So acts. So it's a testament to just his work ethic and how much he believed in himself. He told me one day, we were working on a movie, and I'll never forget this. He came up to me and he pulled me to the side. I was having a hard time with we were doing a scene in the Single Moms Club. It was my first time working with him, and now obviously I've worked with him for 3 years now. He said, Zulay, sometimes I feel, and this is what changes. He's very intuitive. Sometimes I feel like I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And that hurt me in a great way. That somebody out, that he could tell me that. And that in the moment I think he was right. And that triggered something inside of me. And he's changed me. He changed me with that statement, and it didn't happen immediately, but it was a process, because you do have to have such an extreme, not extreme, but there's a level of love and confidence for yourself when you show up to work on camera, when you know you're going to be critiqued and maybe, you have some growing to do. But when he said that to me, and I'll never forget it, something in me started to change, and I started to really analyze how I saw myself, how I was preparing for work, how I was showing up for myself and the character. So there's been a lot of instances and a lot of moments in which I completely thank him for this opportunity right now, because he really gave me the platform to take and to grow from.
And he's given a lot of people opportunities.
I want to know specifically, do you remember the what was going on specifically that made him say that to you? Like, was it a scene? Was it like a week of work that he felt that you had dropped the ball? What was it that made him say that to you?
It was a scene where I was telling my husband all the reasons why we were done. And I don't remember exactly if I had probably at the time was going through a breakup, and I was having a hard moment kind of emotionally letting go, and I think I was a little self-conscious, and I think there were a lot of things at play. It was the first day of filming, and I had met all these, it was just when you show up to set for the first time, and a lot of things come together. There's a whole new group of people, a whole new cast, it's not a TV show, it's a new movie. And so I think there's a lot of things that I've evolved from, thankfully, from that experience, because I did the scene and it came out great. I took a moment to myself, and he said that, and I thank him for it.
Well, before we get out of here, we just have a few minutes
Is it almost
left.
time to
yes.
go? What?
I know.
We're having so much fun. I haven't had a chance to finish.
I know.
I had to put it down because I was feeling a little.
Were you getting little tipsy? Well, you just finished wrapping an independent feature, White Space. It's a comedy series. So could you will you tell us? Is that right?
No, White Space was actually a scientific
really?
drama, and we didn't finish it. Actually, it's unfortunately we're still trying to finish it. We worked on that over 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. So the producers, Jim Devote and some other guys, they just, when you do a sci-fi movie of that and you want to make it good, you just need the production value to be at a certain place. And I think they prefer to put it on hold than to kind of sacrifice the production value for something that could be really good. It's like the Moby Dick story, but in space, and it's beautiful, and it just needs to be done right.
Fingers crossed it's going to get finished.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some footage, and I'm happy with where it is, and I'm also happy that they're smart enough to know that you need to wait, and you need to put it, put your best foot forward with a movie like that, especially.
So you're doing an amazing job in Hollywood and making your mark, but do you see yourself producing, directing your own stuff?
Yeah, I'm actually working on. My brother and I started our production company.
Oh, you and your brother?
Yeah.
Oh,
Which brother?
Steven, the one I showed you. No, just kidding.
He's such an unattractive man.
Right. I mean, if he looks like her, then come on.
Thank you. He's pretty cute, I have to say. He's single, girls. Follow me on Instagram. You will see him.
Right. That's
what do I sound like?
Yeah.
So
Matchmaker. No, I was kidding.
No, trust me. He needs to just chill for a second.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I'm working on a script right now called The Sound of Humming. Steven and I both wrote it together. I didn't tell you guys this. My brother also had a military career. Oh, wow. He went to West Point, so he left.
He's smart too.
Yeah. Right.
He's kind of he's really smart. I'm just kind of like he's really smart. But he and I wrote the script together, and it's a drama. It's a feature. It's a drama about just all the social injustices that we're facing in the world today. Kind of wrapped up in this beautiful love story of a Latino woman, myself, who kind of forgets her roots and her upbringing and her heritage, and the way that life will humble you and will bring you back to earth, and just a beautiful way of dealing with all these social injustices, and having those things be the things that bring her back to who she is.
With this political climate, I bet you will even be more inspired
Yes.
to get this ball rolling with that feature.
Well, if you want to see our beautiful lady actress here, Zulay, in this coming Zulay.
Like now.
On Friday on Netflix is coming out True Memoirs of an International Assassin, and also on OWN. So
guys, I'm so happy to talk to you.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh,
Can I come back?
Yes,
don't
actually,
tease me.
Let me tell you,
because
you will come back.
We're
Yes.
coming back, and we're
Okay.
having more wine.
More
and
wine.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Do
Thank
you
guys
drink?
so much.
What do you like to drink
I
typically?
typically drink wine, but I am not mad at this.
Okay.
I like it. I'm a wine drinker, so I'm open to.
Yeah, I don't.
As long as we're not in here throwing back shots.
Right.
Yet.
I could do that too.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. And
Where can they find?
yeah.
Yes. Where can they find you?
Oh, on Instagram and Twitter, it's just my name, Zulay_Henao. All across the board, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Really easy because my name's already so hard. Who needs to make it
Right.
any harder?
And I've never seen that name before. The last
Me either.
name.
What does it mean? Oh, what does your first name
My
mean?
first name means brilliant. Believe it or not, I looked it up. You guys can. Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
I mean,
Should have guessed that one.
seriously.
Because
But
I'm
my
not smart
last-
enough to guess
I know
that.
you can't make this stuff up. I'm like, yes, mom.
Right.
But the last name, I don't know. I didn't
No.
think.
Cool. It's a
Thank
beautiful name. And how about you, Erica?
You guys can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Erica Renee.
Facebook Live on YouTube and on ubnradio.com. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
This has been On Air with Tony Sweet. Don't worry, there's more online. Search On Air with Tony Sweet on iTunes for past shows and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. On Air with Tony Sweet every Wednesday and Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. Right here on ubnradio.com.